Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a high-level best of 5 between in the bottom right, spawning as our blue Protoss player, playing for Team Big. It is showtime. And in the top left, spawning as our red Zerg player, playing for Team Basilisk, the one and only Rainer. Opening up with what seems to me like a 14 hatchery indeed is the case. Was it? Ooh, a 14 hatch with an Overlord though. Okay, he's switching it up, that's for sure. So, very popular as of late have been those 14 hatches with then an overpool as a follow-up. This is a different setup. I guess you have a later pool with it and thus later queens, thus later links. Perhaps a little bit more mining earlier on. I'm not quite sure what the trade-offs are between these two builds. So I'll have a little talk with Lambo or with Rainer about this. I'll be informed in the future. But for now, I'm not completely in the know as to what the difference or what the advantages are between these different builds. Between the 14 hatch with or the 14 hatch without an Overlord. As we see Showtime opening up with a standard Nexus before core. Let's take a look at his gas mining over here. This has recently become kind of popular. Is where we see a slow rally into the gas. Whereas before a lot of Protoss players were really keen on getting a Stargate out as quickly as possible and thus undersaturating their minerals and quickly pulling into gas. Nowadays it seems that many Protoss players prefer having a high mineral count over a very high gas count earlier on. Why that is the case? Well, more money tends to just be slightly better. Faster third base allows to build more gateways quicker, and the delay in 3 or 4 seconds on the Oracle usually doesn't contribute too much. Like it's not a huge deal, the 2 or 3 seconds oftentimes. While it does delay any future Nexi in the future quite a little bit. So something to keep in mind here as we see quick speed starting for Rainer, who of course has his hatchery on his natural. He's now moving over to try and take a third base as the Overlord finishes up. Showtime will try and block for a little bit longer. Adept makes its way across the map as well here. Second Adept gets chrono boosted out too. We'll see how successful Showtime will end up being with those two Adepts. It's always an interesting question. How good can you be with these Adepts if the bases aren't split? I think the answer is, well, you can be too great. It's simply not possible for Protoss majority of the time. Rainer sends his second queen downstairs. That means his main base is relatively empty. Well, it's completely empty. Perhaps a shade in there could do something for him. Queen still not quite done. Rainer slow with the response. If this Adept finishes, that could be scary. It won't finish, and thus it won't be scary. Adept shades once again being sent out. Trying to go in towards the main, but as 8 links are now out, this has no real future. Yep, there we go. Is going to get stopped. Cancel there out of Showtime as the first Oracle makes its way across the map soon. We'll probably join up together with these two Adepts. See if we can achieve something else. No, actually, she's all the way back home. Differences of opinion there as to what is best. I think having a range of builds or a range of different types of movement that you can do with these Adepts is often the best thing to do. So right now they're being sent back home, and against any type of Ling run by towards your third, this is going to be quite nice. Let's hope that this Nexus does go up, the probe stays alive. So here come the 8 Lings, they're just in time. But actually not quick enough, taking out that Oracle, or taking out that probe, my apologies. So Nexus will go down. Is there a 4th Adept here? This is classic Showtime. 4 Adepts pre-Nexus. I can't imagine a more Showtime-esque way of playing. This is the way that he loves playing. He shades 2 across the map, leaves 1 at home. Now cancels both of those shades. And the double Oracle fly-in once again. It's going to commence here, in towards the natural. Rainer moves into position. There are 2 queens in position as well as a spore. And a single drone gets taken out. That brings the total of kills up to 2. And now 5 Adepts roam across the map, wanting to deal some damage, but with 11 links out already. Not sure how viable of a plan this is going to be for Showtime. Follow-up will be with a robotics facility. And I think that Showtime is in a world of trouble, honestly. I really do believe so. He needs damage, and he ain't getting it so far. Absolutely not. 8th queen is on the way. These queens are perfectly in position to deal with these oracles. Oracles can't even fly by into the main, where there are 3 queens in position. Some bad boys around on the map trying to spread creep. Adepts now focusing perhaps on taking out a potential third base. This Overlord tried to well, give up his life in towards the natural. Now, if I'm Rainer here, okay, and I have his speed in my hands at this moment, and I realize what type of early game I have on my hands, I scout the robotics facility this quick, because I think he did see it with that Overlord. I would say we take a fast forward, and we go up to 6 gases here. I think this is a massive play right now. He's building a lot of drones, and he's simply not taking a forward base. He's incapable of it at the moment. So this Ling is going to be blocking the drone. Another fly-in. 5 drones do end up falling. Honestly, I think Showtime's been doing a good job at denying this forward base. He really has been doing a good job at denying this forward base. I'm kind of happy about that for him. That's a nice move. That really is a nice move. He's done a good job making sure that this bad boy doesn't go up. Once again, he's going to get a kill on a drone. This is such an awkward situation for Rainer, who I think was in a very good spot, but now is in this awkward spot where he has enough units. He has too many links already. Way too many links for what he is fighting against. Like, he doesn't want to build more units, but what's the point of building drones? This hatchery is still an entire minute away from finishing, so there's going to be some epic oversaturation here on the third with 23 out of 16. Natural undersaturated, or well, just regular saturated. Could definitely take a couple of drones from that third base, send them to the natural. Main slight oversaturation as well. We have those 6 gases pumping out the Vespine gas, as well as a Hydra then, and a Baneling nest. So it's going to be Hydra Ling Bane. I honestly don't mind Showtime's position as much. I thought he was moving into a really crappy mid game, but this almost looks viable. He's going for disruptors though. I think Showtime might believe that he's being all in. It's going to be a cancel on the Hydra then. Instead we get a... No wait. Hydra then still there, but also a Spire. Which is just straight up being spotted by Showtime here, by the way. That's a nice little scout to get. Lings here are going to end up dying as well. Lots of cash in the bank for both players. For Zerg, I think it's allowed to be floating this much money. Well, actually, he doesn't have any larvae, so perhaps it's not allowed. It's going to be easier to spend, though, for the Zerg here, as he's going to have Hydras, which are very expensive units. Showtime really needs to get this forward base up. He's trying to. Doesn't get the cancel, though. I guess that's one way to get rid of your cash. There's 2 ways to lose cash. It's by losing bases without canceling, or just by macroing well. Showtime took the easy way out here. Rainer takes his 5th and goes up to 86 workers. Now do note that Rainer's been at a very high worker count for a long time. It hasn't really contributed to bettering his economic position in the game due to the lack of a forward base. And I love the way that Showtime's entire game plan was kind of focused, just centered around the denial of the forward. I really think that is cool. I think it's a very cool plan, and as a result we also see not only a lower eco for Rainer, but also Rainer massively struggling at spending his money. Look at this, he's floating freaking 3k resources right now, and yes, he has a Spire, so he can maybe, produce 10 Mutas? This is such an awkward situation though. Larva count is only at 4 right now, still has freaking 1500 minerals in the bank. These are significant macroeconomic blunders here that Showtime is... that Rainer is making. Showtime's opener, though. I'm just not a huge fan of these disruptor rushes. It feels like he's lacking a consistent tanking unit. We're lacking an Archon, and we're also lacking a Storm or a Colossus. Like, consistent splash damage is huge, and solid tanking is also kind of big. Despite this very good mid-game situation that Showtime has kind of created for himself, and this epic amount of money that Rainer has in the bank, I still feel like Showtime's army is honestly garbage tier. Like, what does he have? 3 Disruptors, 2 Archons, and 16 Zealots? I have a nice match with those Zealots, mate, but these guys suck balls. Cannon in the main base. What do we have in the natural? Another cannon. It's one hell of a wall as well. I kind of like it, actually. As about 13 mutas now end up showing up in towards the fourth base. Get the double Phoenix recall. Links moving in towards the natural and the main. There are cannons available. They do have the +2 attack. Quick Zealot run by, or quick Zealot warp in should be capable of dealing with that. 17 workers go down. Baneling's now moving in forward. As Showtime finds himself in an awkward position with half of his units probably not properly hotkeyed. Or just A moving into his opponent's Ling Hydra. 32 workers have gone down already. Showtime getting completely blasted here. The moment the game speeds up a little bit, Raynor shows that he's a better player and takes map number 1 here on Oceanborn. Here in game number 2, Showtime decided for a slightly later scout. He doesn't want to get his block blocked and decided to save a bit of money. So I believe I once did the math, or I just did the test. I ran some tests and I checked how much more money you have. I believe it was something like 40 more minerals if you don't do a block compared to like a gateway scout, which is what Showtime went for over here. So he has 40 more minerals. If he would have sent out his worker earlier, he would have not had those minerals and he still would not have been capable of blocking. So he made the correct decision when it comes to that. Saved a little bit of money, which is always going to be nice, of course. If you can, you always want to save that little bit of cash. Wondering if he's going to change it up. I do kind of like his opener, or his plan. I like the thought of just really focusing on denying that fort base, and the way that he did it I think was cool. But at the same time I'm also thinking about like, well, what is the follow-up plan? Like what are we doing with the space that we create for ourselves, you know? You're forcing Zerg down a certain path, but if that path still doesn't lead to a victory for you, then what's the point? You know, like, how are we going to abuse the fact that Zerg doesn't have a lot of larva, that Zerg can't really be building drones? Like, what are the plans here? Do we want to expand quickly to a fort ourselves so that we can get an economic lead, or with their low larva count, can we put on some pressure? And Showtime really just played a very passive game there, but also with an extremely late fort base. It was about 7 minutes and 15, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. That is not a quick fort base currently in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. So it felt like he carved out a nice position for himself just to not use the advantages that come with that position. And I wonder if he perhaps was a bit too afraid, you know, straight up building those disruptors rather than maybe going for a Colossus push or something of the sort. He ended up with a very mineral-heavy army consisting of a lot of zealots, and then mutas come out, and if you don't pressure a Zerg and they're going for mutas, it can be very difficult for you. And that's exactly what Showtime experienced there in that previous game. Tried to take out an Overlord here with that Stalker. Didn't quite succeed, as the Overlord is in a safe location. Raynor very good at keeping these Overlords in safe locations, making sure that he also keeps vision on those gases later on. Is that a second gate? Yeah, second gate here being added. And the first Oracle moves over towards the third base, just to make sure that this base is going up without any serious hassle. And that should be the case, if I'm estimating this correctly, and I think I am. Meanwhile, Raynor slowly but surely adding a couple of links in here. It's going to go up to 14 as he adds his first spore, and a very quick Roach Warren. I'm not sure if he's misreading this game or he's planning on all-inning, but I think he's just misreading this game. Yeah, there we go. Cancel on the Roach Warren. That was an awfully fast Roach Warren. I don't think he was aware of the fact that this was a Stargate opener, as now these double oracles are moving in towards the third base location. See what Showtime can do here. Not a whole lot so far. Not a whole lot. Forged Twilight. I much prefer this follow-up over what he was doing previously. I think these quick robo builds are fun, but they're not very good. And well, you're not playing for fun, at least. Well, most people initially start playing for fun, but when you're competing, you're hopefully playing, you know, with some good builds, trying to win the game. These robotic facility builds, I never really started liking them very much. I'm surprised that Showtime still seems to somewhat enjoy playing them. Evo Chamber once again being thrown down here. These 3 more gateways are also being plastered down on the map. That's the kill count. Single kill on 3 oracles. It's not enough. I've often mentioned in the past is that the third oracle pretty much forces you to get 5, 6, 7 extra drone kills. Like if you're opening up with 2 oracles and you get 3, 4 worker kills, I think that's fine. But you open up with 3 oracles, I'm thinking 10, 11 worker kills is your obligation to your mid-game position. You know, if you don't get that, it's going to suck. Because with that third oracle, it significantly delays and weakens any type of blink timing attack you can go for. It really delays your Twilight Council and any type of follow-up that you have. So, whereas usually you could hit, for example, like the 6-minute mark with a decent chunk of Stalkers. Now it's going to be, what, 6:20, 6:15. Showtime here also opted to go for a fast forge rather than just naked blink. So that's also going to make this push hit a little later. I'd be very surprised if the push that Showtime is going for will deal any damage whatsoever. And he's very heavily committing into it right now as he's opting to throw down 2 more gateways. Raynor is completely over... Is he actually overdroning? I think he's in a fine spot. He's not overdroning at all. He sees 6 gas, or at least 5 gases. I'd love for Raynor to see that Templar Archive. That would be huge info. Yeah, Raynor's in an okay worker spot. He's lacking a bit of creep though. I'll give that to my man Showtime. Saying, hey, not sure how many creep tumors you have taken out. 0 to be exact, but still, it feels fine. There's just not that many tumors on the map. There's 16 total. 7 minutes into the game, and your opponent is Raynor. I think Showtime is going to be very happy with that. As he pops up to 75 workers. Look at this fort base timing. It's much quicker here in this game for Showtime than it was in a previous game. And, well, obviously the fort base also was much quicker for Raynor, but this is kind of what I wanted to see in the last game, coming out of Showtime, and we didn't. Once again, go for a very passive style. Showtime, you need to put some pressure on, I think. I'm not sure how viable it is to just sit back and do nothing for 7-8 minutes. Basically, give Raynor a free pass to do whatever he wants. An unleashed Raynor is a very scary Raynor. Overseer will get taken out. There goes the Changeling Zealot. Cute little wall. I wonder if you can bust this pylon. I don't think so. The walling on this map is very odd near the third base. It is non-intuitive. Very non-intuitive. I always mess up walls over there. I just need to properly research again when I have to play this map. Usually this map gets vetoed by Zerg players, as it's a fairly decent Protoss map. This was the first pick for Showtime. The way that the vetoes currently work in the ESL system is that you get to veto 1 map each. So I think Raynor vetoes Rådhuset Station, Showtime vetoes Equilibrium, and then Showtime gets to pick map 1 and Raynor gets to pick map number 2. So I guess map, what was, I can't even recall what the previous map was. Right, Oceanborn as map 1 for Raynor, and then Golden Aura as the best Protoss map that is left over in the pool. And it makes a whole lot of sense. You have a drop coming in here for Raynor, who's setting up a fairly powerful timing, I think. At the same time, I think the defensive force that Showtime is working with should be sufficient. That's way too many workers though. 87. It's going to get some serious oversaturation the moment his main base runs out, which is right now. 15 out of 16 here, 20 out of 16 on this base. Natural is getting closer to a couple of patches being empty as well. And yeah, there we go, 5 more. And that is some actual oversaturation right now on the fort. Let's take a look to see at what Raynor is going to be capable of doing here. Can he break his opponent? I'm not so sure if the answer is yes. Oracle's going to get taken out rapidly. Stormer still in position, looking to deal some damage. Immortal now being rallied in forward. Second robotics facility gets thrown down. I don't think Raynor actually believes in his ability to kill his opponent. He techs into Spire and Hive. So Broodlord is the follow-up, not Lurkers, which is what we usually see. Templar on the high ground. 1 bad storm, another bad storm. As here comes the drop. Cannon in the mineral line will at least attract some of that Baneling fire. 9 workers end up going down, but that is completely okay here for Showtime. He's lost quite a bit of HP on this Nexus. I'm not entirely sure how. Probably a Baneling run by, which I missed. My apologies for that. Another Overlord is being sent in, as a Phoenix should be capable of chasing that away. Gold base now being taken over here for Raynor as well. As the 6 and 7 are being built at the same time. I'm really surprised to see a focus on the Spire before we see a focus on the Lurker. Because the Lurker is the unit that I would have expected first. Especially given how hard it is usually on this map for Protoss to take a 5th base. It's a very open area here towards the right. And as you have a wall usually over here, makes it difficult to take the 9 o'clock. Zealot run by being sent in. Should probably just straight up go towards this base to try and cancel it. It's not quite what our good friend Showtime went for. Instead, just going to lose these Zealots. Adrenal glands now being researched. Hydralisk moving towards the left side, wanting to retain some type of control here on the map. And with this Prism being sent out, I think that Showtime has a timing here in which he can deal some serious damage. 8 Corruptors being built. There's still a lot of money in the bank. Storms need to be good. They are, yeah, fine. Good is perhaps would be a bit of an overstatement. 3 Archons end up falling. And you can build another 4 Archons here, though. The gas is here. The gate count is here. The 5th is on the way. So now a Zealot run-by is being sent in. 6 Templar indeed start morphing into Archons. And this is going to cause quite a bit of chaos. Corruptor should be capable of taking out this Prism. That is a big deal. Because if you have to deal with that Prism as well, that's a lot of supply that you need to kind of dedicate to dealing with random Zealot run-bys. Showtime probably needs to start making some haste over here. Needs to really start hurrying up a bit. Greater Spire about to finish up. Raynor's going to throw away a couple of Banes, trying to snipe some of these Templars, and then more Corruptors into Broodlords. The Corruptors have already been spotted, and the Showtime should be well aware as to what is kicking off here. Here come Storms. These are good, or at least that first one is very good. At the same time, a Ling run-by with Adrenal Glands is going to clear up this 5th base here for Showtime. Archon's moving over right now. Might just be in time. Another big Zealot run-by as well comes in as 8 Broodlords get morphed. And that is going to secure Raynor's position here in this game. A 2nd Spire as well on the way. The creep slowly but surely pushes across the map, especially on that right side. I don't think that Showtime can move in anymore. I think this ship has sailed. It sailed about 20 seconds ago. And yeah, I think Raynor realized as well. He's like, hey, I have brutes over there. I can counterattack. And with that counterattack, well, it's now going to force a recall. Gets a bunch of Zealots down over here. Still probably an okay-ish trade for Showtime. And now we get a Lurker then. So it's Broodlords into Lurkers. This is the opposite of what we usually see out of players like Serral, who much prefer opening up with the Lurker and then slowly transitioning into Broodlords the more the game kind of stabilizes. And to me, that makes more sense. To me, that makes a whole lot more sense. It's so hard for Broodlord armies to defend multiple areas, especially if you're working with just pure Hydraling Bane. Hydraling Bane does not trade well against high Archon numbers, against high Templar numbers. And Broodlords by themselves can be kind of scary against a bunch of Stalkers. So, yeah, I'd be afraid here if I'm Raynor. Just afraid of messing up. It's so easy to mess this up. It really is. The upgrades are continuing for Showtime. Overseer will try and scout the main base. I'd love to see a mothership before any other type of air unit, just to make it easier to attack different areas. And with the aggressive recall, aggressive time warps, you can sometimes get into positions that you shouldn't be capable of getting into with just a standard army. Hydraling Bane still looking for something, but they ain't finding it quite yet. 12 Stalkers moving around, 9 Archons, 6 Immortals. Yeah, the Immortal count being this high is very interesting, because I think it is technically the correct call. But if there's no fast Lurkers, it feels kind of silly to have that many Immortals, right? Now Lurkers are still being produced, so the Immortals will be quite useful. This is a wild thing to push into. Absolutely not, buddy. I'd say no. I'd say no against this push. Yeah, it's not allowed. Showtime expanding towards the top right, as well as towards the 9 o'clock. So he's now occupied all of his own bases, and he starts going after the neutrals, which is a good move. A very nice move. Split army, also a good move. Showtime here with A tier place so far. Absolute well, okay, never mind. That one is C or D tier at most. Archons here are being pushed back against the Lurkers. Raynor split is correct so far. With this army, of course, I would love to see an Observer there. Make it a bit easier to do these types of rotations. Here come Storms. Here come more Storms, I can only imagine. Lurkers with the Broodlord army are definitely going to help out pushing into this type of position. Otherwise, Stalker Blinkins could be scary. That's not going to be the case here at all. Lurkers need to move into the right spots as well to deal with this crap. There's no Observer with this army. 3 Lurkers will die for free. Raynor with some sloppy movement there. As Showtime now has opened up this game with this maneuver. If there was an Observer plus a Prism in this army, I think Raynor just straight up dies. I actually think Raynor would absolutely lose this game. And even now, it's kind of scary not having an Observer here. No detection, no reinforcement. It's god-awful for Showtime. And he's paying the price for it. He still gets 15 drone kills, which is big. He's going to push this back. The situation for Showtime right now is very, very good. As Raynor's not paying attention, ends up losing absolutely everything over here. Except this one brute. No, he's going to lose his brute as well. He just isn't paying attention. At the same time, cleans up this army. And I love that army split that Showtime was going for. I think that was really doing him favors. Now pushing in aggressively. Has how many storms available? 4? 3 storms available at the moment. I think he needs more storms. I think he needs a higher immortal count. And I'd love to see a couple of extra Archons as well. The Tempest, of course, help out massively against, honestly, anything that Raynor can build at this point. Raynor is not in a solid setup. He doesn't have a lot of Spores. He doesn't have Broodlord Infestor, which is the army you want to go for in a stable late-game scenario. So what does Raynor need? He needs the game to not be stable. The more stable the game becomes, the worse it's going to get for him. He wants a high-paced game. And he's adding on 9 Lurkers onto a Lurker bank of already 13. So it's going to bring the total up to 22. I really think a Mothership here would be a phenomenal investment for Showtime. Showtime's going to be kind of happy losing these Zealots. I'd love for him to also get rid of the Stalker somehow. Still goes for an army split, which is a big move. It's going to make it difficult for Raynor to attack because there will be 2 armies out on the map for Showtime that at the same time could be doing stuff. Showtime's planning on denying this bottom left side base is going to succeed. At the same time, is also being attacked here. Requires detection, requires vision of these Lurkers in order to start shooting them. 3 Hydras are in position. Not quite going to be good enough. Templar moves forward, gets 1 Storm off. At the same time, top right side base is being taken out as well. I think Showtime actually should win this fight. Goes into it. This is a debatable engagement, as a bunch of these Immortals are being taken out anyway. Still ends up winning it. I feel like this could have been executed much better, but I also believe it was good enough. This is an interesting recall. It's a good recall. A very good recall even. As we have a rotation towards that right side. Cannons are non-existent on the left. And that might trigger Raynor to try something else over there once more. He continues the Hydra Lurker production. And I think Showtime honestly should try to go for game stabilization temporarily. Say, hey, I want the game to be slow. I want the game to be stable. And I'm getting these double upgrades still. Zealots here defensively, definitely going to end up helping out, but might lose a bunch of workers before he even gets to respond. No, he's fast. He's real fast. Showtime playing a solid game. Another run by Doe being sent in. This is Pureling. That's minus 15 workers if Showtime isn't quick. And even if he is quick, it's going to be minus a lot of workers. Zealots now trying to chase, but they know they can't. 3-2-2 upgrades against 3-1. No extra carapace upgrades on the way here for Raynor, as the links do end up getting cleaned up. Nexus gets rebuilt. I mean, the bank is non-existent for our Zerg player. 12 Lurkers, 2 Infestors. Ay. This is scary stuff. This is scary stuff. If you're a Raynor right now, you feel that you need to do something. I mean, he is doing something. He's getting damage done. Showtime, is he in time here with his air army? I think he needs Tempest. Does he require the Tempest to beat this army? I'm not sure if he required it. It would be nice to have at least. 2 Nexi going down at the same time. Still no Mothership here, which would be huge. Time Warp on top of these Lurkers is massive. Recall as well as the invisibility could potentially play a huge part in these fights. Hydra count is small. Oracle needs to relevate, use the detection spell. Lurkers going towards the far right side, and I'm afraid that Showtime here is going to take a bad fight. Moving in, blinding clouds, that ain't quite great. As the Immortals not dishing out the damage as like they want to. 38 more links in production, and the supplies pretty much tell the tale as the right side base here is being taken out by the Lurkers. At the same time, the kiting back of Raynor is good enough. I think Showtime misjudged his position in a fairly big way. All he needed to do was survive for a little bit longer, stabilize on at least 1 or 2 mining bases, and while he's maxed out against the Lurker Hydra army, just add in more cannons. Cannons and Templar spread is all he needed to secure this victory, as there was no willingness out of Raynor whatsoever to go into a proper late game with Broodlord Infestor. Raynor was stuck on those 6 bases. He was never going to expand to the bottom left or the top right, and I think Showtime definitely, you know, in his crosshair had that top right side base that he potentially could have been mining from. Now he's lost all map control. He lost his entire army. Doesn't have the immortal count anymore either. He's just in a terrible, terrible position over here. And I'm not liking that for him. Because he played well. He actually had good movement this game, had good splits. It's so difficult to deal with these Lurker attacks. It's easy for us to say, well, his army should be here. But as a Protoss against Lurker, Ling, Hydra, Bane, you just don't have a whole lot of vision. And that's always going to be an issue. Lurkers being set up defensively. I think Raynor realizes that his eco is good enough right now that he doesn't really need to force the issue very much. He probably could though. I think it might not even be unwise. Like, it might be kind of cool, kind of smart here to say, hey, I want to trade right now because I am maxed out. and you're not. Ooh, Hydras here getting caught off guard. 3, 4, 5, 6 Hydras end up falling pre-fight. Infestors are here. Do they have Neural Parasite? Yeah, they do. Just taking over 2 Archons is a huge deal. It really kind of annoys the Protoss. Ling run by is big. Tries to go for a kill on the Nexus, is not going to succeed. As this top right side base is a little bit over halfway done. Once Raynor gets that one set up and Showtime doesn't get this one, I think Showtime is just freaking dead, honestly. Here come a couple of abducts into one. Tempest, Blinding Cloud hits as well. Fungal semi-connects as these Archons are having a blast, but not enough of a blast. GG gets called and Raynor wins game number 2 as well and puts himself on match point in this best of 5. And with Raynor on match point, we head into game number 3 here. Heartlet is the map. A map which we've seen in the past usually play out a little bit in a Zerg favored way, in a Zerg favored manner. There's a couple of rocks that can be taken out, making it kind of difficult at times to secure a fort base, whether that's the forward one, which is fairly vulnerable to kind of these types of attacks from over here, or even like somewhat of a run by coming in towards the third and an attack to the forward base. Or if you take this bad boy and these rocks get taken out, you can be in some serious trouble. We have a drone heading out on the map and a second drone being sent out to build a natural. So Raynor seems to have some plans, perhaps for proxy hatching. Drone scouting is extremely uncommon as it is unnecessary in this matchup. I'm confused. I'm not entirely sure what this is going to be. It feels like a proxy hatch on the natural though. So a hatch into hatch, 3 hatch before a pool, with the third hatchery being placed on the natural of the opponent. Well timed out here by Raynor, knew exactly when to send out that drone. And the instant response coming out of Showtime with a 5 worker pool. Cybernetics core Zealot, chrono boosted, as well as a second pilot will be constructed in the main base. This is, I think, the textbook response. So pretty much what I'm aware of, the perfect response to this particular build. Now, what does this do for Raynor? Raynor's going to have slower speed, so he might struggle a little bit against double adept openers. It does have a little bit of momentum, though. It ruins the Protoss build order. So if you have a very specific type of opener prepared, this could kind of ruin it, because all of your timings are going to be a little bit different. And I think eco-wise, Showtime is going to be just fine, though. I don't think this is a huge hit. This is a fine response. The way that he's dealt with it so far, I think as a Showtime fan, you can be very happy. Adept is on the way out. It's going to get chrono boosted. Second gas does need to be taken so that this drone can't take that extractor. It's always going to be frustrating if that is the case. No third base yet here for the Italian Zerg, who is floating a decent chunk of cash. 500 minerals. At this stage of the game is fairly odd. Waiting for that pool to finish. Double extractors. Wait, what? Okay, went for an extractor trick here. Now this adept is out. Drone still running around. We'll get the scout on what I assume to be a Stargate. I'd be shocked if this is anything but Stargate play. I really would be. I don't think Showtime is going to throw down the Twilight here. Yep, cancels the warp gate, starts the Stargate. It's going to get scouted by the drone. At the same time, we have a serious attack here. With a Zealot and an Adept, and the Queen isn't quite out yet. Showtime with a serious focus on these drones as well. Takes out 2, forces a Spore, lots of links in production. And although he only takes out maybe 3 drones here in the end, I do believe that this was somewhat worth it. The Zealot is practically worthless anyway, so in reality you exchanged an Adept here for 3 drones. You could say, well, the Zealot is a unit. Yes, it is a unit, but you had to build that unit to deal with the hatchery. So it already kind of paid for itself in that way, and the Zealots often lose a lot of value between minute 3 and 6 until charge is out, and even after that, they're not... You know, if you can kill any amount of workers with a Zealot, you're going to be kind of happy with that. So here, I think a good call by Showtime, just sacrificing that Zealot and saying, hey, what I can do with that right now is more than I will be capable of doing in the next 3 minutes. And I think that was a very fair trade there. I think Showtime is going to be happy with how this game is looking for him. The Oracle's being chrono boosted out. Third hatchery on the way. Overlord spread out of Raynor is honestly fairly mediocre, as he's adding 2 more Overlords here as well. I think he was slightly supply blocked. So although he had timed out the early game well, I'm not sure how much he's practiced the follow-up, because this seems a little bit sloppy, taking slightly too much damage, the Overlord spread not being good, a minor supply block as well. These are things that usually don't happen to Raynor. This time, of course, the build is a bit different for him as well. Showtime with a second Oracle is going to be moving around, trying to figure out if he can deal some damage and just getting a general feel for the game. As 2 queens are out in each base. Spores on the way towards the third. This bad boy is also up. Second Oracle will join up with the first one as a third air unit does end up starting. So Showtime once more focusing on heavy harassment. Will need to deal some serious damage with this if he wants to be competitive in this game. 4 stars as well as the Twilight Council. And here comes the drive-by in towards the main base. Raynor slightly out of position, is going to lose 2 drones as a result. Completely blind on that left side as well. I mean, he has the watchtower, that's something, but no overlords in the dead space. That is scary. That is very scary because you don't know what angle these oracles are going to be taking in that case. Could be coming from the right side, could be going towards the third, could be going towards the far left here, and then kind of getting in there. 4 adepts join up with the Oracle force as the third Oracle is on the top side here. Evo Chamber is going to be the name of the game for Raynor. +1 links most likely. And these adepts will not get any kills and will shade out without dying. So a fine trade here. Showtime's going to be okay with that. Forced out a couple of links, forced a spore, but no serious damage. Now, however, Raynor once again out of position with his queens, loses 2 drones as a result. Showtime is eyeing this fort base, with Raynor taking the forward one. There's 3 realistic fort base choices here. Showtime is covering 2 of them, but not the third. And as a result, that base is going to go up. It's going to be a range upgrade. This is starting to smell... Yeah, starting to smell a little bit like a roach attack. 66 drones, perhaps. That's what it feels like to me, at least. Is this Oracle, its sole purpose seems to be just kind of scouting and looking for cracks in the defense. And then for the double Oracle to show up and deal with that. Now the double Oracle is going to join up. I don't think you can fight there, Chief. I don't think you can fight there at all. This drone will die. Triple Oracle activation. Single queen here. Oh, misses 1 shot. Should have gotten 3 workers there. Well, they should have gotten more work. One extra worker. So should have gotten 5 kills total. Stasis ward on this base. Little bit of a misread there by Showtime, thinking that there's no fort base. Well, there is. Maybe he's aware of it. Have a look. No, he's not. Should really scout that forward one. I think I saw a Hydra then go down. No, I didn't. I imagined that. I wanted a Hydra then to go down. It's going to be 80 drone roaches with +1 attack. Okay, now we have a Hydra then going down. I looked into the future. I swear I saw a build already on the... Oh, well, it is what it is. Starting to see things. It comes with the old age as well. Second robotics facility. Robo Bay as well over here. Showtime, go for that Colossus playstyle. Really curious how he's planning on playing this out. Nice full wall. It's going to stop any serious attack from that side. At least for a little bit. Hydra's being added in. Raynor just opting to go for like a 10 gas, I guess. Is that his plan? 10 gas lurker style. Very late on the hive. Very, very late on the hive. I actually don't really understand what his plan is here. So he's getting quite a bit of eco. Right? We're seeing that. He has good eco. But you're not actually going to go for an 85 drone roach hydra attack. Like this is a disguised all-in, except it isn't disguised very well at all. This makes no sense. Because this still functions as an all-in, right? Like if you don't kill your opponent, you have no tech. You have the same struggles you usually have, except you're hitting less hard than you would on a lower drone count. I'm very confused by this playstyle. Very, very confused. This feels largely improvised here, coming out of the Zerg. I mean, if it works, then it definitely would have worked on a lower drone count. I just don't understand the lack of a hive behind this. This makes life so much easier for Showtime as well, because there's no pressure on him to tech out of the Colossus yet. Now have 10 Dropper Lords being built, so you have a mass dropping style coming out of the Zerg. And this all seems kind of crazy on the worker count that we're at. Now we have that infestation pit. I think we should have had that much earlier. I think the hive should be done. I think a lurker upgrade should be on the way right now. Like, this was not a serious timing attack. And this posturing really does nothing for him either. Except it makes it kind of easy for Showtime to figure out what's kicking off. Left side army could be dangerous for this base, but there's a pre-split already coming out of Showtime. And due to the lack of potential Vipers here, I think Showtime is feeling uber comfortable right now. So you do have a Zerg Doom Drop here heading in towards the main base. Would you look at that? That is beautiful. Let's see how ready Showtime is going to be for it. Well, not very ready. He must be proper confused as well as to what is kicking off. Do we have a recall available? There's no recall on the main. No recall on the natural. Okay, that could be an issue. This is a very, very bad strategy, but it doesn't mean it won't work. That doesn't mean it won't work, because Showtime out of position does not spot this. A little bit disappointed in a certain way by that. He can lose stuff as well. He's gonna have a timing window behind this for days. He's sending a large portion of his army back home. There's 2 Colossus with this. The roach count is well, non-existent practically. You can't pick up. You can't pick up. Still a Stargate, so a single Void Ray can be produced. Showtime at the same time pushing across the map. This feels a little dangerous. He's taking more risk than I would like him to take at this point. As this drop is getting cleared up, I think a Void Ray would not be a luxury at the moment. Just to clear these Overlords, I think that is a good call. A Void Ray would be a nice thing to have. There already is a Templar Archive, so Showtime really tech-wise is 2 steps ahead of Raynor. As Raynor is making 1 step forward and 2 steps back, it feels the entire time. Like, he goes for a cool move, but there's no... The follow-up is so slow. It's actually painful. 12. This was a passive game for the first 8 minutes. And even though this was a passive game, Raynor still doesn't have the lurker upgrades out. He's on 72 workers right now. As he's adding in a lot of spines, he's scared crapless. He's afraid of dying, and for a good reason. We have Immortals being added in. I think getting Storm would be a very responsible call here, coming out of Showtime. Adding in Templar into the composition, I think would be a very responsible call indeed. Here comes a flank. That is also a responsible call. So these Colossus are gonna get picked up. These bad boys don't have the 10 range quite yet. And I do believe that means that Showtime is just kind of going to clean this up without too much trouble. Spotted the Vipers at this point, so still needs to be careful. I really don't like this posturing on the map without the ability to protect your key units against Viper pools. Because it just means you're going to end up losing units. There's what, 3-4 pools or so available. Gonna pick maybe one of these Immortals for free. Yep, there we go. Is any lurkers on the high ground? The answer is no to that. There's no lurkers on the high ground. Seems like Showtime doesn't actually care. He says, hey, my army is really big. My army value is huge, but honestly, so is Raynor's. He's just gonna pick up a couple of these units for free. Wonder if the Colossus is the most important, or if maybe Archons or Immortals are better. Here comes a big A-move attack. Raynor completely out of position here with his tanking units. As the lurkers are gonna get cleaned up. Showtime pushes forward, snipes one of these Vipers, tries to target down the second one with his Stalker Force. This base is going to die. It's 57 workers to 85. As 14 drones do go down. 5th base is up here for Showtime. Raynor struggling in this tournament, dealing with the Showtime late game. The Immortal Colossus. Playing lurkers right now. It is... I'm not happy with how he gets into those lurkers. It seems... in a way, he's playing a little bit... just improper. Like, improvised build orders is what it feels like. Where there doesn't seem to be a clear goal. Unless the goal is make the game weird. And then the game is weird. But Showtime didn't really make it weird. Showtime kept it very simple for himself. Now he's hitting a couple of these feedbacks on the Vipers. He's attacking into this position. That is scary. Yes, he has a very big army, but the lurkers are freaking powerful, especially in large numbers, hidden behind hatcheries.
I'd much prefer to see Showtime just kind of contain his opponent on 4 bases while adding cannons on his own bases. So just really stabilizing the game here. Lurkers are best, this sounds stupid, when the game isn't stable at all. Because then Lurkers can go for run-bys, they can go for attacks. But if you have 20 cannons absolutely everywhere with Templar spread around as well, it becomes much easier to play for Protoss. And then your aggressive rotations, you can take a lot of time with it. It becomes hard for Zerg to take a 5th base. Most of the time even impossible for Zerg to take a 5th base. Raynor identified a weak 6th, took it out. The thing is that the moment that Raynor attacks across the map with a significant portion of his unit, he's just going to lose 2-3 bases before he even kills 1 base of his opponent. So splitting armies here, I think eventually is going to be what Raynor will have to do, where he keeps a chunk of these Lurkers at home. But this is a bad fight for Raynor initially. There's a bunch of roaches here that are now going to go in for the counter-attack. And at the same time, we have a Zealot warp in towards the main. Immortals will get cleaned up. As Showtime starts moving back home, there are a lot of Immortals in this army, and that means that these roaches will die. Zealots are killing a couple of these drones, but Lurker Hydra Force should take care of that as well. And overall, just fantastic. Really just a fantastic defense here by Showtime. A fantastic game state as well for the Protoss player. He's up about 33 workers. I think there's a couple of things you can do right now. I really believe that the responsible thing is to get a bunch of cannons, Templar, and then tech into Tempest. You could say carriers, but carriers in low numbers really suck against Hydra Lurker at times. Especially if there's a couple of Vipers. Like if you have 3 carriers and 2 of them get abducted, that ain't great. If you have 3 Tempest, you're not really gonna get abducted because you're using your long range most of the time. You're not going for a big fight. And if you're very stable and you can take your time with Tempest, you have all those cannons at those bases, and I'd really love to see a couple more, yeah. I think 6-7 cannons, having an Immortal and a Templar there, and then just slowly teching into Tempest while rotating the map, I think is going to be a key play here, for sure. It seems like Showtime is going a different direction as he's adding more gateways. If that is the direction you want to head to, I think adding a second forge to get armor and shields. But maybe he already has that. No, it's just single forge. And then getting armor and then shield upgrades at the same time, I think would be pretty sick. So you can really build upon that upgrade lead you already have. Like Raynor didn't even have the cash yet in this game to start +3 range attack. Has 0 carapace upgrades. So this is also an option. These are really the 2 options. And okay, we have that double Stargate Fleet Beacon coming out right now. This is a scary move out because Showtime isn't ready for it. Lurkers in position are some of the most annoying units to deal with, especially if Vipers are around for Blinding Cloud zoning, which could be the case here. Templar trying to move forward. These Lurkers are burrowed, but they're stasis at the same time as well. Raynor needs to be so darn careful here. I think saving energy for Blinding Cloud rather than trying to abduct is going to be the play, as this base is going to get taken out. This base will be alive, so it's still 5 versus 4 in favor of Showtime. The Raynor causing a little bit of chaos here. 12 workers going down right now. Both players losing a base. Defensively, Showtime at this 6th base is looking good. 2 abducts get used, 3 abducts get used, 4 abducts get used. Is there enough damage output to deal with these units though? Probably there is. At the same time, Prism trying to make its way in towards the main base once more. 73 workers to 52. Raynor is losing a lot of mining though. He just doesn't have the bases to saturate. This pylon perhaps in some trouble right now. Or the former 6th, now the 5th, is going to get taken out as well on the side of Showtime, but he puts Raynor back down to 2 bases. It's starting to look better and better for our Protoss here. 128 supply to 199. It's carriers for Showtime after all. I think at this point that might be fair as well, because the Hydra count is so darn low and there's no ability for Raynor to reproduce them. So even just trading carriers for Hydras at this point might just be good trades. And I mean, I just don't see Showtime dying. I think it's technically impossible or theoretically impossible here for Showtime to die. Although, as I say, that I do see 20 Lurkers. That's a lot of Lurkers. And if Raynor starts touching the production here of his opponent, that could be scary. At the same time, those Zealots are in the natural. Main also has nothing. Couple of Lurkers now morphing. Yeah, I think production is the only thing that Raynor right now can do to try and win this. There's 3 carriers out here. We're gonna have a couple of abducts coming in as well. Most likely. It's the only thing I can kind of imagine. Don't forget, we don't even have +3. We don't have carapace upgrades either. And that means that these Hydras are going to be performing very poor against the carriers. Usually at least you have an upgrade lead if a Protoss recently switched into those carriers, but that is not going to be the case today. As, yeah, Zealot's still working. It's going to be one base here for Raynor. Raynor is uber dead. Like, let's face it, Raynor has absolutely no chance of winning this game. I think Showtime might even be a little bit too careful here. I also understand that you don't want to lose a game where if you just sit back and relax and do nothing, you'll win it. I mean, he can just go for elimination race here, right? His opponent has practically no buildings. He does. He can send in the carriers forward. I think that's exactly what he's going to do. No, he's just going to go up this ramp. He doesn't give a crap. And he shoot. It's 4 lurkers. Let's go, man. Let's freaking go. Gonna send in the carriers first, and now the Immortals will pop in over here as well. Unless the Observer ends up dying, I don't really see a way for Raynor to hold this. Even with the Observer dying, there's simply no anti-air. Still have a single extractor up here. We have a defensive setup. Stasis is going to connect. A couple of storms are available. Let's see if we can hit them. Yes, we can. That's 1. And 2. And that's number 3. I think 3-4 lurkers do end up falling instantly here. And we still have a base on the bottom left. Forge being added in. Gates being added in. And all that Raynor has right now is going to be this single extractor out on the map. There's not enough money for another hatchery. There are 6 drones. I don't quite know where they are. But I think now Showtime realizes that this is the last building. He's just going to right-click it, right? And then simply win the game. Where are these drones? Oh, they're over here. So they're going to build 2 extractors right in front of the probes. The probes start fighting as well. I think this must feel very silly for Showtime because he has such a huge lead right now. He has plenty of detection as well. I think he can A-move into this army. He doesn't need to, though. All he needs to do is just build cannons at one of his bases. This is not a good fight. There's also 2 carriers versus 4 Hydras. And that should be a very one-sided affair as well. So, nice try here by Raynor, trying to kind of stretch it out into that late game, but doesn't work out. Showtime takes this map and gets himself back in the series. Alrighty. Game number 4 on side Delta. With a hatch block for Showtime. No 14 hatching shenanigans this time coming out of Raynor. No crap. No beating around the bush, as they say. Just wants to get that hatch down at 16 or 17 supply. We'll have to do it on his 3rd base. Showtime so far seems to like the general Stargate play into some type of robotics facility or Forged Twilight. And with, I think, a heavier focus on bigger adept move out. So where we see players like Hero or Max Packs focus on double adept shade-ins, and then sometimes multiple double adept shade-ins. I'm not necessarily saying that Showtime builds more adepts. I'm saying that Showtime keeps them together a little bit more. So it's definitely a small stylistic difference there, where he also seems very keen on keeping his adepts alive, where both Max Packs and Hero are very okay with adepts dying and really using them as a tool to, like more of a trading tool rather than a free damage tool. Showtime wants to keep the creep low, while Hero and Max Packs like keeping the drone count low. As a general rule, of course, they'll switch it up sometimes, but it seems we're speaking in generalities that is true. Raynor with the double gases. It's kind of late with the speed here. So he's continuing with single mining. 219 it's gonna start. Yeah, okay, that's fine actually. I can live with that for sure. Speed is what, 79 seconds? Yeah, 79 seconds. So it's 1 minute and 19 seconds. It's often easier for me to remember. It's very difficult if you just have like 87 seconds or so. It's much easier to kind of split it in a minute and in a second amount to do the clock math in the moment when you're in a game. It's like, oh, how long is that again? Right. That's the timing. 3rd hatch does go down. Yes, yeah, Stargate indeed. Once more. Overlord position on top of this little pillar. Could still move towards safety in case he sees a Stalker, but as he doesn't see a Stalker, I don't think he's really caring about that very much. I don't think he wants to move to safety whatsoever. Gonna actually have to wait a little bit to see what Raynor's plans are going to be as he starts the 2nd queen on his 3rd base. Has already started a 2nd queen in his main. The 1st Oracle now starts. Okay, it is going to be a Stalker. So it's what? Adept into Stalker. Double Chrono Boost to Adept. It's going to shade out. Once again, preferring to keep Adepts alive while also dealing damage. I like that. 2 drone kills. That's a good start. Showtime has found his groove in this series. He gets decent damage there for sure. I do like that. I really do like that. Oracle's now starting to move across the map as we have the Overlord still seeing stuff. Surprised that we're not using an Oracle to provide some vision. Maybe the second Oracle can move over here to provide vision for the Stalker to start shooting it. For now though, double Adept in the third base. Defensive position. There's 8 links or 10 links. And thus this setup will be sufficient. Ooh, get a cancel there on that shade. That means that the second Oracle needs to jump into action. It's going to kill a couple of links. 5-6 links going down. It's a nice little start. At the same time, Showtime enters the main base where there is no Spore. Transfuse will save the second drone. Neat move there out of Raynor with a quick response. Still losing 1 worker there. Not sure how necessary. Oh, that's probably... You can't really do much about the 1 worker, obviously, if you have 2 queens. Protoss comes in from such an alternative angle. These Adepts will be in some serious trouble if they get surrounded here, and they will get surrounded. Oh my god. This time it's the third Oracle that saves them, so twice now Raynor has surrounded these Adepts. These Adepts have called for the air support. Air support showed up on time every single time so far. 3 more gates on the way. Forged Twilight. And it is triple Oracle. Show us what you've got, Showtime. Show us what you've got. What does it look like? Now with that 4 Adept move out, gonna get a couple more link kills. Raynor even feels forced into building more links, despite already having built 22 links this game. He's lost 12, still has 10 remaining. He's gonna go for the Adept split. I think this will be cancelled. He's gonna finish 1 set. Gets 2 drone kills. You want ideally 3 at least, but with such a large drone pool away, maybe 2 is fine. Oracles didn't jump into action anywhere. Maybe there were some angles they could have gotten some extra kills in. Doesn't quite seem to be the case. These links now moving across the map, once again creating space for these 2 Adepts as well. I think Raynor is misunderstanding that. He's gonna be forced back home with these links. Yeah, he definitely is going to be forced back home with these links. There's only 2 queens in here. As the Oracles now move in towards the third base as well. You see that general direction. As 2 drones instantly die, we still have 1 more shade in these Adepts. Needs to use it. I think that was a little bit slow. Oracles now arrive at the third. There's no queens in position, but there are 2 spores. As the Adept shows up, Oracles, let's see what they can do. Queens completely out of position as the third Oracle, maybe into the main base. Raynor has a lot of drones and kind of oddly saturating for now. Struggling with the macro at the moment as he's dealing with all this harass. Showtime decided not to move in with the Oracles. Could be considered a mistake, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case. Maybe keeping some of that energy alive for later is also big, because... actually... I was gonna say, if he's opting to go for like a big Blink Stalker push, which is what it was kind of building up to, I understand it. But if you want to wait with moving out until you have Colossus out, then I don't entirely understand it. And now it really is starting to feel like a Colossus move out, while we're also moving with these Stalkers. Well, okay. I guess that's fine. Just hanging around. 82 drones for Raynor. That's a good worker setup here. Can he deal with the Colossus push that is going to hit like a truck? Perhaps like 2 trucks in a row. Oracle's still looking for something here, and maybe some damage from queens. Some serious sadomasochism. The Oracles just took a bunch of damage, then flew away. Like, oh, that was great. Really needed that. Templar Archives does go up. So where we'll see players like, especially Koreans, like a Hero, a Classic, really focusing heavily on going for these 8 or 10 gate Stalker Colossus pushes. Showtime is using the Colossus as a defensive tool to then transition into a late game, is what it feels like. And he plays very freaking passive StarCraft 2. That is generally the hallmark of Showtime anyway. I mean, there's a reason why he's called the Wall. Walls are not usually known for being great aggressors. Solid defensive properties, but that is where their use usually, you know, tends to stop. Link's going to trigger one of these stasis wards. It's always so annoying when this happens. They get vision and you can't kill them. I wish you could kill units in stasis wards. That would be very broken though. It's like a black hole that lasts like 21 seconds and they can still be attacked. That would make the Oracle a little bit too strong in my opinion. Just a little bit too strong though. A tiny tad. So we have loads of stasis here just sprawled around. Showtime's giving his opponent a lot of time. It really felt like Showtime had something going on for him with all of that momentum in the early game, but then doesn't really follow up on that in the mid, which is weird, but also he just wants to play a late game or like a mid to late game. I feel like Showtime's ideal game is stuck on a ground army forever. You know, he's just like running around with Immortal Colossus Templar. So he's just having a good time. Having a good time. Couple more cannons. He's definitely setting up for a push. You could say, well, cannons, he probably wants to defend even harder. But no, he actually wants to move out and then have these bases be somewhat secure. You can never truly secure your bases. I mean, if the Zerg just sends enough units, your bases are gonna die. But if the Zerg sends out like a massive Link Bane run by to deal with freaking 4, 5, 6 cannons and 2 batteries, then it means they have nothing at home, especially because Zerg usually also has higher worker counts. So this push out is actually going to be freaking powerful. There's already 4 Immortals, as Raynor opts for the Ultralisk Cavern rather than the Greater Spire. Showtime now takes the top side of the map as his attack path. Link Bane is going to move across. I wonder if he's going to use this for a run by. No, I don't think so. Stasis ward galore over here, right? Yeah. Where's that prism though, huh? Ah, come on, we don't have a prism with this? Okay, it's flying across the map, that's big. Stasis wards in the back will be huge as well. Colossus being sent forward. This army feels smaller than the supply makes you believe. I'd love to see like 2 extra or 3 extra Archons here. Salad run by hits the spines. Natural, devoid of any spines whatsoever. Yes, 3 more Archons. This is exactly what you need. This army with 6 Archons? That is power. Try moving this off creep. Good luck with that. Nice stasis wards. I think Showtime is doing it here. This stasis is actually kind of bad, because now moving forward with the Templar becomes pretty freaking scary. There are Vipers here. There's no real flank. Raynor is going to get a decent angle. Huge Blinding Cloud here, though. It's forcing these Colossus in forward. This still was a great fight for Showtime. Absolutely brilliant fight here out of Demauer, who has a massive standing army here. A lot of splash, a lot of tanking still available. Pushing on right now, however, would be a mistake. He's forcing out a lot of short-term solutions out of Raynor. And key here is going to be to be patient. The key will be patience. You're going to still need a couple of Stormers, I think, in the upcoming fight. Otherwise, perhaps these high link counts would be capable of still doing something. If you have 2 Storms, though, 102 links, completely useless. Here comes Showtime. He's moving in. Blinding Clouds once again going to connect with the Colossus. That means that the links will be powerful. Here comes the flank. And with that flank, I think that Showtime, well, still gonna hold, actually. It's going to continue on with his push, but the Prism is down. It means that the next reinforcements might be capable of cleaning this up. No instant reinforcements into this fight anymore. It's 76 workers to 68. Showtime, with superior tech in my mind, needs to keep these Immortals alive. If he loses these Immortals, he could be in some serious trouble. 3 more Archons do start. I think Raynor is dead. I think Raynor has absolutely lost this game right now. He's down 20 supply. He's down 10 workers with tech that doesn't allow him to stabilize. There are clean attack paths leading up towards the 5th. Showtime has a 5th. It is not well defended. This is a fact. A small run by could deal with this, but now we have these extra batteries, extra cannon here being added in. I think this part of creep is so important right now. This area of the map. The moment it's not covered in creep anymore, I think Raynor is in serious trouble. We have a couple of Templars being warped in. There are 6 Immortals. We have Neural Parasite and Infestors research starting right now. A lot of Zealots, though. almost feels like a waste. If you can go up to 10 gas, you add in 3-4 more Archons into this army, you have another maxed out push, and I'm not seeing how Rainer's gonna hold this. I think clearing this with a couple of Zealots would be huge. Okay, here comes a run by. Ultra should take care of that, right? Yeah, Ultra's so powerful against Zealots, it's crazy. It's so freaking crazy. Like, just 2 Ultras really just dealt with freaking 30 Zealots. Okay, 30 is a bit much. Like, 20 Zealots, 15 Zealots. Like, that's scary for the Zealots, you know? Here come the Lynx. Rainer's paying such close attention to his unit. They're not going to lose him. And here goes Showtime. Has 2 Oracles left over. And it means double Stasis Wards. If he wants to with this push. The Baneling count is practically non-existent. Zealot run by hits this base. Single Ultra is going to help out and will survive. There's legitimately 0 Banes though, so make it out what you will. But I'm having a very difficult time seeing how he's going to deal with them Zealots. Sure, Ultras are good, but there's a big Ultra force behind it. Yeah, a big Immortal force behind this. This is a spread out army. There's not a lot of tanking in front. Neural Parasite connects with 1, 2 of these Immortals. That's a good start. Immortals too far tanking. That means that the Archons survive, but they don't really have the damage output. That comes from the Immortals usually. The Ultras surround this army and get on there. Deal a lot of damage, and I think Showtime might have overstepped just a tiny tad. That is very frustrating here for the German Protoss player, who now all of a sudden finds himself down 60 supply. Is that enough? I don't think these are enough defenses. Could probably target down these Infestors with the Oracles. I think that would be a wise play. Using them for damage output right now rather than anything else. Super Battery needs to be activated. I think targeting the Infestors is key. Yeah, because now you're going to lose an Archon here for tanking. Your own units will be attacking your Archon. Another Archon goes down. Oracles now start targeting these bad boys. But the Infestors have already dealt their damage. Blinding Clouds being used as well. Attacking into this position seems risky as storms are raining down upon them Lynx. 2 more Immortals on the way out. Not quite there yet though. The Stalker Warping is going to help. Rainer kind of throwing away his lead here. It's throw into throw. Overlords will poop some creep. Next 2 Immortals are going to be absolutely key in holding this. There is no small units really whatsoever. I think Showtime needs to wait for these Immortals. Link showing up. Immortal wasn't in the control group. As a result, once again, moves too far forward. Prism needs to pick him up. Will do that indeed. Cannon in the back still helping out, dishing out a lot of damage. 4 or 5 kills on this bad boy, and I don't want to know how much damage he already has on it. 2 more Immortals are on the way. Once again, that's going to be important. Zealots just charging in towards their death. As Showtime still outmining his opponent by a significant amount here. 5, 6, 700 minerals a minute. Gas a little bit in favor of Rainer as the next Immortal gets rallied into the Ultra Mass. Oh no. Prism now moving towards the natural to try and pick up that Immortal that is still stuck over there. I think a battery in the back would help out. Immortal pickup. Can we get some micro with that Prism? No, we cannot. Showtime perhaps still holding on though. It's gonna be close as this Immortal is also getting closer and closer to falling. We are really gonna need to use that Prism here, buddy. Yeah, there we go. I think he could have saved 2 extra Immortals already. Hasn't been doing that. Might just be stabilizing as another Immortal gets rallied into the Ultra Link stuff. This has not been a solid defense. He could have held this much more efficiently. He's still somewhat fine with a superior worker count. I think Rainer needs to add a round of drones at some point. There's now double Viper showing up. There's no Templars defensively. And Abducts could be big here. They could be very big. A Parasitic Bomb maybe on these Oracles is also worth it. I mean, these guys, 16 kills on one, 11 kills on the other. I think there's at least 1 or 2 Ultra kills in there as well. Maybe an attack onto the 5th base is the preferred method anyway. I mean, if you have the Blinding Clouds, the cannons one could say, and you go in there at the same time with Adrenal, maybe that's not even necessary. Yeah, now Showtime needs to move out of position. Can't be in that mineral line anymore. Baneling's going to connect as well with the probes. Queens of Creep, that is an issue. As the Zealots, well, honestly, are going ham. No Banelings remaining. Rainer kind of surrounded in this spot. At the same time, more Queens moving across the map as well. We've been doing some constant fighting over here. As the Ultra army, well, the Ultra count is dwindling. 64 workers still for Showtime. I don't quite understand how he does that. He just keeps having more workers than his opponent. I think he's actually held for real this time. 3-1-1 upgrade. 2 Zealots coming from the back. Not entirely sure what that is all about. Should pick up some of these Immortals. Will catch one. Second one doesn't get picked up again. That is the third or fourth immortal that falls without real reason. Now we're gonna get some kiting out here. Another immortal does get picked up this time. I think Showtime, he might have died. He might have died. I'm surprised how well these ultras perform, honestly. I'm really quite surprised. This is also one of those games in which I think the ultra cost buff, so the fact that ultras are 25 minerals cheaper, might have actually helped Raynor a little bit. Everyone kind of saw it as a joke, you know, as a joke change. But here, it might have actually impacted the game a significant amount. How many ultras have gone down? 21 ultras, 16 immortals. That is an insane amount of ultra disc that have gone down already. Holy crap. GG gets called. Raynor's going to win the game and thus win the series with some out-of-the-box strategies, I think. A proxy hatching game number 3, mass drops. Didn't end up winning that game, of course. And then here with low eco, ultra Lingbane Infestor Viper. Good micro in that one defensive fight. And then never-ending aggression, never-ending pressure is epic. Oh, clicked the wrong button there. That is going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.